So I, came across this interesting thought while I was watching a documentary on the late cricketer Shane Warne. The fact is he never wanted to be a cricketer. So when he was 6 years old, he met with an accident which actually fractured both his legs. As painful as it might sound, it actually changed his destiny.
Hi, hello everybody. So very recently, a very good friend of ours, Nitin, shared a very nice insight, and that was like we are all bombarded with a lot of data. Everywhere you go, your mobile phones, hoardings, everywhere we gather so much of data that we are overloaded with it. But then when you segregate it and you write it on a piece of paper, the data gets converted into something called information. And then when you read that information, you assimilate that information, and then it gets converted into knowledge. And finally, when you put that knowledge to use, it becomes wisdom and you become wiser. And today we are starting a new series under the Pathik tribe called the monthly learning series, just to soak in the wisdom from life. And for which we have a guest amongst us who is also a Pathik. He has spent 18 years of his life in the capital markets. He's also spent around 12 years purely into investing. He's worked in several big organizations in investing world like HSBC Mutual Fund, L&T Mutual Fund, Motilal Oswal. He's a CFA and a bachelor in management. He has managed funds to the tune of more than $1.5 billion. But today we have with him in an absolutely different capacity. He's an avid reader and who soaks wisdom from life to apply those lessons not only to life but also to investing. He has made many people rich, and so we thought he's the right person to be with us, where we can chit chat and soak the wisdom of life. So let's welcome Vihang Naik. Hi Vihang.
Hey, thank you, Samir. It's such an honor to be here.
Same here, same here. Very nice talking to you. So Vihang, what is the topic we are going to talk about today?
So this topic is a bit close to my heart. I call it, working with your inner edge. So we'll explore the topic, but it's more about, finding what your edge is and then, playing to your strengths.
Okay.
So how does that sound?
Very interesting, very interesting, very interesting. So yeah, can you just elaborate what do you mean by the inner edge?
So I, came across this interesting thought while I was watching a documentary on the late cricketer Shane Warne. Shane Warne, as we know, was the world's best spinner.
Yes.
And his records, his numbers have been unmatched since. The fact is he never wanted to be a cricketer.
Oh, is it?
He actually wanted to play rugby.
Okay.
And that's where his interests were, but he could not get selected in rugby, and his edge, as we call it today, dates back to a time when I was 6 years old. So when he was 6 years old, he met with an accident which actually fractured both his legs.
Oh, okay.
As painful as it might sound, it actually changed his destiny. Actually, his father made him a sort of a car where he could rest his legs and he could move around the whole house with the help of his hands. Now he had to do that for the next 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Right. What it did is it put a lot of pressure on his palms and his wrists, and it made them very strong.
Okay.
Now as a spinner, you require strong hands and palms. That gives you the edge to basically spin the ball.
Okay.
When he was in his teenage, he went to, somebody suggested, why don't you try cricket instead of rugby? He tried that as a spinner, and the rest, as we know, is history.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
So that, Samir, got me thinking that obviously, not everything in all success in life can be attributed to some edges like strong palms and wrists. Obviously, there are things like hard work, grit, mentors,
yes,
even luck. But the fact is, if we try and identify what our strengths are, and we try to work with them, then we give life the best chance.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I am also a big fan of the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
It throws up nuggets of wisdom which have worked for 5,000 years.
Yes.
And one of the shlokas, I think it was chapter 18, it goes like Krishna says to Arjuna, it is better to follow your own dharma, even though imperfectly, than to follow somebody else's dharma, even though perfectly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what he tries to say is, in this case, if your own dharma tells you to be, let's say, if you're a good cook, right? If you love cooking, your dharma is cooking, but somehow you find yourself in a bank job,
Yeah.
right? You might make good money, but you'll never be fulfilled.
Right.
So the idea is that if you're a good cook, try to work on your cooking skills. Try to develop some business, on those lines, and you have given yourself the best chance to succeed.
Right. I think here the problem sometimes comes is the comparison. Because as you said about the Bhagavad Gita quote, कि it's better to follow your own dharma imperfectly. I think the problem comes is when people compare themselves with the best.
Correct.
And then they feel that I am not as good as him, then what's the point of this? And of course, as we said, that success is not very easy to get. So in the initial stages, when you are imperfect and not getting success, that time we start comparing, and that's where, do you think that's the slippery ground?
No, it definitely is. So, for example, like it or not today, world over, finance is one of the best paying profession.
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes,
So you have engineers today studying chemical engineering and becoming investment bankers, right?
Yes.
Their interest, if they took up chemical engineering because it was their interest, was in chemical engineering, but they are now doing finance because it pays a lot,
right,
right?
right,
And obviously, after a few years, people have what we call a midlife crisis, wherein you start questioning, what am I doing, where am I going, and that is when you start with your, let's say, side gig, right?
yes,
Where you, but by that time, what happens is, when you do that, by that time, you've lost a good 20-25 years of your life,
yes,
right? And then, to your question again, Sameer, that's when you start comparing it with some of the others who have already devoted 20 years to that craft.
yes,
So it's not fair, you have to devote a similar time to your craft and then see where it goes through. But like, the other perspective to this is, like Warren Buffett said, that he tap dances to work. Right? Because most of us wake up in the morning and on Monday we dread those Monday blues and then carry ourselves to our work. But there is this guy who at 95, 96, is saying that I tap dance myself to work. Why? Because that is his dharma. That is what he was chosen for, to perform in this life.
right,
Right? And the fact that somebody is paying him to do what he enjoys doing is the icing on the cake.
yes,
So to your question, when you're struggling and when you're comparing, when you're imperfect, the fact that you're getting to do what you're good at or what you enjoy doing is the biggest gift that you could give yourself.
right, right,
Right?
True.
Success, in this age of social media, followers, fame, etc., will follow. But I don't think we should be too harsh on ourselves as long as we are enjoying what we are doing.
right, right. So sometimes I think life pushes you towards the inner edge. In your endeavor, you're coveting something else, but life is, I think, driving you, like it happened in the case of Shane Warne. I don't know whether you know about an actress called Lalita Pawar. So she was the one who played the role of Kaikai
Right?
in the Ramayana. So she came from a very conservative family, and they were very rich. And in those times, they never encouraged young girls to get into films. And she did, in the initial years, she did some films as a heroine,
Okay.
and she was pretty successful. And then there was one actor called Bhagwan Dada, and they were acting together. He was the hero, he was the heroine,
Yeah.
and he was supposed to slap her.
Yeah.
And he slapped her so hard that the nerve of her eye got injured, and she never recovered from that.
Wow.
So she had that squint, or her eye was permanently damaged.
Okay.
So looking at that, it was like her career is ruined, and she was almost finished. But then she started getting those roles of evil mother-in-law, or the wicked Kaikai and all that, and she took it upon herself and she said, okay, if this is it, if this is giving me that edge that you are talking about, let me go with the flow. And she acted in more than 300 films.
Wow.
Doing those roles. That gave her the fame, the money, the recognition that she got. So much so that her name was featured in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Wow.
Because of that. So maybe that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
If that accident had not happened. So that is how life gave her the inner edge.
Yeah.
Is that what we are talking about?
Exactly. Another example that comes to my mind is Dr. Naresh Thadani. So, this gentleman is actually a Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri awardee.
Right.
He is the only doctor who operates on the President of India.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if you look at his bio, he was actually a left-hander when he was born. But in those days, being a southpaw was a stigma.
Right.
Right? Parents wouldn't want their kids to be left-handed.
Yes.
His Hindi tutor, as brutal as it may sound, actually broke his left hand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that he could learn writing with his right. Now, young Naresh, I think, obviously looks like he was very gritty. He learned writing with his right hand because of that. But what that event made him, it made him ambidextrous.
Yeah, because he was naturally lefty.
Right.
Okay.
So what now he could do is he could work with both of his hands. Now, as a surgeon, you want stable hands while operating on patients, right? People have one, this guy has two, right? Could it be a coincidence that he's one of India's best cardiac surgeons? Maybe that event also helped him reach there,
true.
right? So that's another case where life throws a curveball at you. When, like they say, when the life throws lemons at you, you make lemonade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what a lemonade he made.
Absolutely, absolutely. Does this sound something similar to the vuses we learn in Pathik program?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So I think then that means life is the best teacher, and life has its own ways of pushing you to things which can help you to get an inner edge. It could be an accident, it could be a handicap.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even an insight, because as you were saying, Warren Buffett reads 500 pages in a day.
Yeah, so that's another fascinating example for me. Like people, quote Warren Buffett all day, and many investors feel that he is their guru. But very few are able to replicate what he has done. And if you ask yourself why,
yes,
right? Very early in life, Warren Buffett told a group of students that he reads more than 500 pages a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And think about it, 500 pages is roughly 2 books of 250 pages each.
Yes.
Now that's more than the number of people don't read 2 books in their entire life.
Yes, true,
right?
True.
This guy reads 2 books a day.
Yes.
Now how do you compete with a guy like that?
Somebody like that, yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And when he's talking about reading 500 pages, I met a friend of mine yesterday, and he said that he doesn't like to read. He said, I read the book War and Peace. I said, what is it about? He said, it's about war and peace. So it's not about reading like that.
Yes.
Yeah? When Warren Buffett must be reading 500 pages, he must be recalling and recollecting about 350-400 pages.
Yes.
Right? Now multiply that by 365, multiply that by last 70 years that he's been reading.
You can't match that.
You can't match that, right? Yeah. So he found an edge and he capitalized on it. Right? And we know, what's the result?
Yes, absolutely. So, can we come to a conclusion saying that the inner edge is something where life helps you to do things which are extraordinary? Now that could be a trait which you have developed with your own proactivity, thinking that this is going to help me, like Warren Buffett did, or it could be an accident like Shane Warne had, uh, or it could be a handicap which you are born with,
Yeah.
and that helps you and pushes. So the main culprit I think here is comparison.
Yes.
God has given you everything that you need
Yes.
to fulfill all your dreams and live a great life. But when instead of coveting that, if we start coveting what the other person has and be like him or her, I think that's where we fall into the trap and we miss the inner edge.
No, completely. You know, in your own case, Samir, we have seen that we have heard your story. Referencing back to that, at the age of 15, you said you wanted to be a trainer,
Yes,
right? And I don't think training as an industry was big back then.
absolutely. It was
This-
not there.
We are
Didn't
not talking.
exist.
We are talking about a world where there was no Instagram, no YouTube, no Zoom calls, right?
Yes, yes.
And you decided at that time, okay, training is what I want to do. Now, if you had compared with, your cohort at that time, which were going to the US,
Yeah.
doing their engineering, I don't think Pathik would be in existence today. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, what do you think about how did your journey go then? What went in your head where you stopped that comparison and pursued your truth?
So my journey was something similar to what you said. Pursue something which you like, and sometimes I think in life it's better not to have choices. So I was one of the most fortunate ones who was not great at anything in life. So I was completely lost. I didn't even have the confidence of becoming an engineer or a chartered accountant. So I was lost in life, and that's when I met my trainer, and he said, "This can transform your life." I did exactly what he told me to do, and I happened to become a good speaker, which gave me recognition. So for the first time in my life, something gave me recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me the propelling energy to just pursue that, because I thought, "Arey, this is where people are noticing me, so I should do more of this." So I started practicing for every speech that I went.
Mm-hmm.
I used to really practice very, very hard till a level where it became very natural to me. Now today I find it very amusing when people say that it's a God-given gift. But far from that, I know it is not. Okay. So inner edge can also be developed with hard work, with proactivity, or sometimes life is kind enough to play its cruel hand of fate, as we call it, but it pushes you towards your inner edge.
Yeah.
So I think we should just go ahead with the flow of life, pursue what we want, and instead of cursing the experiences that come our way, we should try to find our inner edge there. That's what I learned from what we have talked about today.
No, beautiful, beautiful. Another thing that today's generation, I guess, the Gen Z or the millennials, have, which maybe didn't exist maybe 50 years ago, is that you can get paid for almost anything today,
Yes. Yes.
right? So you don't really need to be a doctor or an engineer to be in the top cohort of the society, right? Today, you could just be a good singer from a tier 2 city, and you could portray your talent on YouTube, for example, or Instagram,
Yes.
and many times you today find yourself earning much more than a doctor or an engineer ever could imagine.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in this winner takes all world, it actually pays a lot more to be a outlier
Yes.
pursuing your own edge rather than, as we in Pathik call, being a mediocre.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So instead of trying to fit in, you can create your own destiny by trying to find out your own edge. So my final takeaways would be that go with the flow of life. Of course, patience, discipline, and hard work is a given.
Yeah.
You need to have focus on the long term, and don't compare yourself with others. That's what is my takeaway from what we discussed. What about you?
For our listeners today, viewers today, I would say that try to introspect about your life, your childhood. Try to find those one or two things which gave you that spark in your childhood,
Yes.
You know, ironically, I have seen that many people get punished for their inner edge.
Yes. It happens. Yes.
So that's another pattern. Think about what people say about you. Are you a good speaker? Are you a good dancer? Are you a good storyteller? Look at all those edges and then try to think about it and then try to work with them.
Yes. Sometimes those things will be very annoying.
Yes.
Think of what you're criticized about the most. Maybe
Yeah.
that's where the answer lies.
Yes. And when you find that, then try to create a vocation around it.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can have a plan, then you can have your mentors, then we can have a full model. But just ignoring life and playing somebody else's game is never going to cut it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So design your own game, design your own life. That's wonderful thought.
Yeah.
So I think that was pretty interesting to talk about the inner edge, and I think every person has an inner edge inside him. I hope our discussion helped the viewers. Would you recommend any good book on this, a book or a couple of books?
So there is a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, if I remember. He also speaks about focusing on that one thing which is the most rewarding.
Yeah.
To you and making a plan around it. I feel that even I'm a big bhakt of the late Charlie Munger. He keeps saying that if let's say for example you are participating in a kicking contest and you only have one leg, then everybody is going to kick you and you are not going to be able to kick anyone.
Right.
Right. So his work and a lot of what he says is also structured around this if you read between the lines. So I would urge all our viewers to even read his books like the Poor Charlie's Almanac and a lot of his speeches at various forums. Unfortunately, he's never written a book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people who have written books on his life, so that makes for a great reading. So I think these two.
Wonderful. Yeah. So the one thing, and books on Charlie Munger. That's enough food for thought. So now we have given you the data. You read the books, assimilate the knowledge, use it to your advantage, convert into wisdom. I think that's good enough.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Vihang.
Thank you so much,
And
Samir.
viewers, please let us know what do you feel about this learning series in the comment section, and we'll come up with some new topic in the next month's section or in the next episode.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.